Welcome, everyone. I don't know what it is about my music, but it gets me emotional every time. So, this is the show where we overcome everything and compromise nothing. My name is Martine, and I am your host. And I want to let everybody know this is my second podcast. So, we are every second and fourth Friday. And coming in August, and I am saying this for accountability, Alysia, hold me to it, that I am going weekly by August 1st. So
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Without further ado, yes, thank you. I need to introduce you here. I want to introduce you all to Alysia Lyons. She is a colleague of mine, but actually a very good friend. We hang out, like not just in trainings, but we hang out. So I am privileged and honored to have her here today. And please introduce yourself. And here I go again. What the heck is going on?
Well, I loved your intro. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I love it. And we hang out as much as we can, living on in different states, but anytime we have the opportunity.
Well, I've been to Cali to visit you, and now you need to get your butt over here.
Well, I don't know, because you have snow. So
well, not right now. We're in May. So let's make a plan. I think it would be fun.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.
So I'm Alysia Lyons. Like Martine said, I am a neurotransformational life coach, and I work with moms who struggle, predominantly who struggle with guilt. Do you know any of those?
No, actually, I think you're the only one. I'm sorry.
I'm all by myself.
You by yourself. Oh my gosh, I think that is something that I remember a friend of mine saying, and this was probably when I think I may have had my first child by then. And she said, there is nothing like what your children can say to you. She said, there's something my daughter said to me once, and I've never cried so hard in my life over anything. And I know what that's like. I know that when I became a mom, I thought, with all the turmoil, trauma, and everything I'd been through, I thought, my kids aren't going to have that kind of stuff. Well, they maybe not have went through what I did, but I know that there's definitely trauma that I caused. There's definitely things that I didn't mean to happen. And I still, even after all this training that you and I both do consistently, still rears its head,
Even this morning, I was talking to someone about my son is on the autism spectrum. You wouldn't know unless I told you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. See, told you.
Wow. Two of my kids are. So
are they?
Yeah.
And we found out pretty early. I just remember he was probably 16 months old, and he had a toy that fell off the table, and he lost his ever-loving mind because his toy fell off the table. And I'm like, what is wrong with this kid? Looking back now, hindsight's 2020, I realized what he was wanting the toy to do. He thought the toy was a train. It was actually an elephant that made train noises.
Yeah.
And he wanted the train or the toy to go around the table because it looked like the table had tracks. There was a border around this table.
Gotcha.
He wanted it to go around the tracks. And so, I put him into early intervention program, which for the most part, I would say was even maybe 90% amazing. And so what I was talking about this morning was that they were putting him in this room that was a padded room when he would get triggered, and he'd spend like an hour in there by himself before he'd calm down, and then they would bring him out and he would get re-triggered and they'd put him right back in. And this happened after my sister with the master's degree in special education with an emphasis on autism had told me to take him out of the program because they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And I didn't listen because I was enjoying free babysitting. And sometimes when you're a single mom, it's like,
I was there. I know.
And so I focus on the 90% good that they did because it really was. And then as a coach, I've actually had him, we were sitting in the car, he was telling me about his experience there, and his voice was cracking. He's got tears in his eyes. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, you know what, Xander, just let it out. Pretend that they're sitting right here and you have permission to say anything you want and you will
Mm-hmm.
not get in trouble. And that includes bad words.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
for 5 minutes, he just yelled at them and said, as a mom, like some kind of disturbing things,
Yeah.
but it needed to
Gotcha.
come out. And
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't had that crack in his voice or the emotion come up
Mm,
ever
thank
since. He still doesn't like them.
you. Right, right,
Didn't change the fact that he doesn't like them, but at least
right.
the emotion's not weighing him down anymore.
Gotcha. Did they ever do like with my daughter? My son was he came out of it a little quicker, even though still, if there's too much overwhelm on him, if he feels too much pressure, too much noise, he retreats. And he's 16, and my daughter, who is 20 now, it was just I thought she was defiant with
Mm.
just how crazy she would get over certain things or
Mhm.
even brushing her hair, anything like that. I had to keep her beautiful, like she has beautiful long hair now, short because I couldn't even comb her hair.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that, I mean, our kids are obviously several years apart, but I think they've come and made some strides. But I have never heard of any type of padded room or anything. They would
I mean,
just put music on Lindsay and
it was because I think he was getting aggressive. And
oh.
so I think they were protecting themselves. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
100% sure. It's been a couple of years. And as soon as I found out that he basically spent the whole day in this padded room, I was like, yeah,
Mm,
we're done.
yeah. Oh, that's
Free
awful.
babysitting or not, I'd like, that's not worth it, you know?
Right. Exactly. Well, I would like to go into your story of how you became a mom coach, but first I want to tell all the listeners that Alysia has a book, and tell us the name. I want you to say it.
Yeah. So the book is called Good Moms Don't: Lies, Truths, and How to Conquer Mom Guilt.
Awesome. So I want to invite callers. Alysia is giving away a book to the first and the third caller, and the number to call in is 800-930-2819. And Alysia would be happy to answer any questions that you have. But for now, let's start with your story. You have been in transformation just like I have for a lot of years. But when was that defining moment that you knew I need to help other moms like me that feel guilty?
Absolutely. So I actually got into this coaching thing
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to overcome my blocks in my personal or in my direct sales business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I had run across this coach who specifically worked with women in my company.
Mm-hmm.
And to help them succeed, he had a program that he called Success and Fulfillment. And at the time I saw, ooh, success. I want
Mm-hmm.
success. I didn't care about
Heck
fulfillment.
yeah. There you go.
Success. I've been
Priorities.
trying. What's that?
Priorities.
Great. So I was looking at this program. It was an instant yes for me. I went through the program. They offered one-on-one coaching. I took them up on the one-on-one coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Ooh, I'm in love with this work. Like, I want to do this too."
Right.
So I almost immediately knew that I was called to this, because even throughout my life, when I've been in therapy, I remember saying to my therapist, I think I might want to do this. And then I looked at how much schooling there was, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this.
I remember that myself. Mm-hmm.
So I was told by my coach that there was a coaching program that he offered, and it would
Mm-hmm.
help me in my direct sales business. And I was like, well, I'm committed. I want to do anything that it takes
There you go.
to
There you
be
go.
successful in this
Mm-hmm.
business. And
Yep.
um so I went through the program, and I remember sitting in that room just terrified
Uh-huh.
and thinking, okay, the things that people have been through in their life, I can't, my pain doesn't even compare to this. Like, I don't deserve to
Mhm.
be in this room because I haven't
Mhm.
had the kind of trauma that shows up in these circles.
Gotcha.
And so, but I was addicted.
Mhm.
I was addicted to the
Mhm.
conversation. I was
Oh, yeah.
addicted to this depth, and like I had found my people. And so I kept coming back.
Right. Right.
So my third time going to this coaching program, I think you were in the room. I really
Oh,
don't remember.
yeah. We've
Yeah,
been
you were in
together
the
for a
room.
while.
Yeah. I knew you were there my second time, and then I just couldn't remember if you were there the third time.
Right.
Um, so the third time I went, right before showing up, I went to the doctor with my son
Mhm.
because he was complaining of some pain. And I'm in this doctor's room, and I told him something that had happened a couple years ago. And
Mhm.
all of a sudden, they wanted to call Child Protective Services about this incident, which I'll talk about.
Oh,
Talk
right.
about the incident, but
Right.
this is what triggered, like, ooh, I might feel guilty about something, because I got irrationally angry
Right.
and I left. And at that time, I'd been in personal development for more than a minute. And
Right.
I recognized, like, ooh, this is irrational anger.
Mhm.
There's something here.
Right.
And I texted my coach and I said, ooh, I think I might feel guilty about something. I
Gee,
laugh
that's
at that now.
wow.
And so I showed up at the event, and,
Mhm.
they do demonstrations on these tools that we learn. And she asked, who has guilt? And everybody in the room raised their hand except
So,
for me.
Alysia,
Mhm.
before we go into the story,
Yeah.
we're going to take a break.
Mhm.
And I would like you, if you will, please tell people how to find you, because this is going to be juicy when we get back.
Right. So I am the mom support coach. I'm at mom support coach on all platforms. And my website is alysialyons.com,
Yes.
ALYSIALYONS.com.
Awesome. Okay, so when we get back, we're going to hear more of Alicia's story. And I was there at this moment, so I know exactly what happened. And this is very profound. So we will see you all in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine, where I have my guest and friend, Alysia Lyons, with us. And we left off on a kind of a cliffhanger, which is what we're supposed to do, right? Where Alysia was going to talk about a time that she was processed by one of our very powerful coaches. And it's not something she was looking for that day. And I was there. So I know that I kind of was hiding behind a couch saying, oh, please, not me. So glad that you got the processing that day. So tell us what happened.
Well, Sean likes to call sorry, Sean's our coach, and he likes
Yes,
to call
Sean
it
Smith. Yep.
he likes to call it the love seat. And I'm like, oh, no,
Yes.
it's a hot seat, don't get it twisted. Like,
You
this
got
is
it. It is.
there's nothing loving about this when you're in the moment.
Right.
um since then I've been, processed more than once, and somebody asked me, do you
Yeah.
feel safe right now? And I'm like, no, there's 6 people staring at me watching me cry.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a lot more than 6, let's face it.
Yeah.
Right. Holy
Yeah. In
wow.
that room, there was probably 30, if
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not
for sure.
mistaken.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So, um, everybody raised their hands that they had guilt except for me. And it wasn't conscious that I wasn't raising my hand, but my brain was like, nope, we're not going there. You don't have guilt. You're cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and then I was listening to people go around. She's going around the circle talking about what her guilt is,
Yep.
or what everyone's guilt is. And and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I did feel guilty about something. And I
Yeah.
said, so I raised my hand, and when it was my turn, I said, I let someone hurt my son.
Right.
And I said it, I watched her, she almost fell over. Like,
Yep. Yep.
and I knew I had to say it that way because I had to get in it, like, or it wasn't gonna come out,
And
you
let it
know?
out. Let
Yeah,
those words come out. Mm-hmm.
right. So um, so should I tell the story now or like after the the process?
Whatever works for you, however
Okay,
you feel about it.
um, so my son was um, so I've always been in direct sales since he's been born. So
Yes.
I've always had babysitters here and there, and I had a babysitter who I really loved her. She was so sweet. She was so good with him. And then for a couple of years I didn't really need her. And then I needed her again. And I called her and I said, "Hey, can you watch him? We're going up. We were My roommate and I were going to go Uber in San Francisco
Oh,
because we were
fun.
moving,
Yeah.
right? Because we were
Yeah,
moving and we needed to make extra money for this moving truck.
for sure.
So she said, "Well, I'm not available, but my mom and my sister are." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's great. Mom
Hmm.
and sister, that's safe."
Yeah.
Um, so he even spent the night, and
Hmm.
I got to have more time up in San Francisco. And then
Hmm.
I came home, and a week later, they lived right across the street from my office
Hmm.
where we had our meetings and I did my office appointments.
Hmm.
And so I started was going to start using her again, and so I
Right.
had booked him for that night.
Yeah.
And I said, "Guess what we're doing tonight?" And he says, "What?" And I said, "Well, you get to go to your babysitter's house and I'm going to
Hmm.
go to my meeting, and then I'll come pick you up."
Uh-huh.
And he goes, "Mom, I
Yeah.
don't want to go there." And I was like, "Well, why
Right.
don't you want to go there?" And he said, "Well, she doesn't have toys for me to play with."
Hmm.
I'm like, "Well, that's not right. I mean, you have toys. Like, it's fine. She'll play with you. Like, it's cool. Like, that's not a
Right.
reason."
Right.
And he broke down. And without going into what he said, he told me
Right.
she was inappropriate with him.
Right.
And
Right.
so I stopped, like, I was driving, but like emotionally, I
Oh,
stopped.
I understand.
I detoured from her house. I
Hmm.
went to the meeting, and then I told my upline, I said, I got to go home.
Hmm.
And so I went through like the good mom checklist, right?
Hmm.
Like
Right.
I'm filing a police report. I'm calling Child Protective Services because this isn't something that a 13-year-old girl does to a 4-year-old boy if it
Right.
hasn't been done to her, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I put him in counseling, so just to make sure he was okay.
Yeah.
I was taking care of everybody but me. And
Hmm.
I didn't even realize that. I mean, I think it's been 3-4 years now. And I
Hmm.
realized that the other day. I was like, "Oh, I was taking care of like, I didn't even cross my mind
Right.
that this was
I get it.
that this was traumatic for me."
Right.
Um, and so he's good. Like, he doesn't really remember
Hmm.
any of it. He remembers her. He remembers her name. Every once in a while he mentions,
Yeah.
like, this looks like her apartment.
Hmm.
Um, but he doesn't mention or talk about what happened,
Right.
which, may be good, may be bad. I don't know. It makes me happy that it's not a conscious memory anyway.
Right.
But um, so it'd been like maybe 2 years
Hmm.
after that when I went to this retreat.
Hmm.
Um, and for 2 years, I was holding on to it the way that I mentioned,
Hmm.
that I let someone hurt my son.
Right.
And we went through the process, and we overcame this, like, the thing that creates guilt is this identity of I'm a mom and I want to be a good mom.
Right.
And a good mom doesn't let her kid get hurt.
Right.
And then
Hmm.
you have to find the exception to the rule.
Right.
And the exception is, for me, it was like, I didn't have a crystal ball. I didn't
Right.
know that was going to happen. If I had known, I would have stopped it.
Right. Of
It's
course.
not like I consciously chose, like, oh, this person's going to hurt my kid. So, well, too bad, I need to
Right.
make some money.
Yeah, of course not.
You know?
Yeah.
And so once I was able to let that go, like the only way that I can describe it is that, you have this beach ball underwater
Mm-hmm.
and then you let the beach ball go and it literally flies up into the
Mm-hmm.
air.
Fully.
And it was like 75 to 100 pounds were lifted off my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got home from that retreat, I realized that one of the things that I was doing inside this guilt was I was pushing him away
Mm-hmm.
because I have this defense mechanism that I'm going to leave you before you have the chance to leave me.
Right.
So how we do one thing is how we do everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I was imagining this 4-year-old boy growing up and coming back to me and saying, how come you didn't protect me?
Mm-hmm.
And like that, the idea of that was terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to protect myself by keeping you out
Away.
here, away. Like, this is my personal bubble. Stay out of
Mm-hmm.
it.
Exactly.
If you can't touch me,
Exactly.
you can't hurt me.
Right.
And his love languages, I'm not sure if it's physical touch or
Mm-hmm.
quality time or
Mm-hmm.
exactly what, but I asked him one time, how do you feel most loved by mom?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, when you snuggle me.
Yeah.
And that was the thing I was doing the least.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from like, okay, 30-second snuggle, get away, I got to do the dishes
Mm-hmm.
or I got to go do something,
Yep.
to fully embracing the snuggle, and 15 minutes will go by
Mm-hmm.
without realizing it, without
Right.
thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And just that connection with him has grown so much stronger since letting go of that guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so profound to me. It was like, other moms got to feel this.
Oh, heck yes. Oh, man. Yes. So much so. I know even myself, because I was sexually abused by 3 different men before 9, um, I know that I will protect myself even now sometimes from letting my kids get too close.
Mm.
I love them to death and they know that. But there are times where just what you were saying about the whole cuddling and snuggling. My youngest daughter is very cuddly
Mm.
still. And I still sometimes like, okay, kind of get close for a little bit and then kind of let it go. And I catch myself with that. Like, does she still is she still upset with certain things that have happened in our lives? Did I cause her a lot of pain? And I still find like a shield around myself. And I remember my dad telling me at one point, he goes, you were the most loved kid, you were the first of our 3, yet you're the most distant. I'm like, why do you think that is? Not only was I sexually abused with nothing happened about it, but you hurt me too. How do you know there's so much that can happen, but with you, I commend you. I mean, you have that awareness, and you did something as soon as you had that awareness. And I'm grateful I have that awareness for when these things come up. So we're going to take a break and come back into more transformational talk here. But I also want to remind everybody again, where can they find you?
I am at Mom Support Coach on all the platforms, and my website is alysialyons.com, ALYSIALYONS.com.
Yes. And for anybody who wants to call in, first and third caller gets a copy of Lisa's book, 800-930-2819. See you soon, everyone. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine. That's me. And my guest is Alysia Lyons. We left off before the last break talking about awareness, really, and how us as moms, we may still do some things that were like, ooh, kind of like, what? Oh, what did I say? What did I do? But the thing is, if we have awareness, we have to take heart there that we have that awareness and that we can do better the next day. There are regrets that I still carry with me, that I get coaching around, that I work on actually daily. But I do know that I did the best I could with what I had at the time. And Alysia, I would say that you have done the best you could at the time. And I think all women need to know that we do the best we can. And just having that awareness that we are working on ourselves, that we are trying to be the most loving, caring, kind, compassionate women to our children, plus take care of ourselves. It's not always easy.
It's really,
So
it's
what do
really
you think?
not. It's
Mm-hmm.
really not. And in society, there's almost this expectation for us to have a, superwoman cape
Oh
on,
yeah,
whether
for
it's
sure.
put on us or we pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe a little bit of both, but
Right.
it's not about being a perfect parent. It's about learn being an aware and a present parent,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
realizing that, hey, I made a mistake,
Yeah.
and then trying to understand that mistake. And my most recent example of this is my son was, getting ready for school, and uh, we haven't done that a whole lot this year.
Right.
Um,
COVID. Yep.
and he needs some time before, like, between waking up
Oh yeah.
and getting ready and me, asking him to be responsible. He needs just
Mm-hmm.
maybe 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot that. And so I woke him up. I said, okay, get dressed and get ready for
Mm-hmm.
school and brush your teeth and
Mm-hmm.
do all the things. And he's just like, oh, mom, I don't blah, 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 blah. Like, just bad mood.
Right. Right.
And I don't know where this comes from in me, but I'm just like that person that's like, oh, but look at the positive. Like, look
Right.
at look at the
Right
bright side.
here.
I'd love to dive into that sometime. Like, where
Yeah.
does that come from? Because
Right.
I even did it last night, and I'm realizing,
Mm-hmm.
oh, he was upset, he was irritated
Mm-hmm.
because it was bedtime and he can't play with his
Yep.
friend. And
Yep.
like, he said, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I hate my life.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, well, what are 5 reasons that you love your life? And if my new awareness about that is that I'm gonna say, yeah, I get it. It sucks when
Mm-hmm.
your friend comes on the Xbox at 9 o'clock at night and that's your
Mm-hmm.
bedtime. That really
Mm-hmm.
sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bummed out for you, bud. But there's the
Yeah.
weekend, you know,
Yep.
and excuse me. So he's mad. I'm trying to cheer him up, and I ask him, where's your tablet? I'm still in a good mood at this point. So where's your
Mm-hmm.
tablet, bud? And I don't know. And it just snapped. I just snapped.
Mm.
Like, it was just like the light switch went
Right.
flipped on, right?
I get it.
And I said, you know what? Bedtime's at 8:30 from now on. You're not getting enough sleep at 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
My voice is going out. Excuse me.
All good.
um, so, and I heard myself say it. I immediately was like, come on. It's fine. Like, it's not that big of a
Right.
deal, right?
Right.
And it switched him too. A different switch
Mm.
came on, and now I'm
Gotcha.
like, well, but I promise, mom, it's just because I didn't sleep good, and just like
Right.
he switched him too.
Gotcha.
um so I started thinking about this, like, what was the trigger? What set me off? And I'll tell you, I had probably 3 different theories before I came up with the one that I think is the real thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So again, it's okay to not be perfect, to
It
not
is.
even know yourself enough to
Mm-hmm.
understand what your trigger is the first time,
Right.
you know? Um, Somebody asked me, do I feel responsible for his emotions? And I was like, well, I mean, that kind of sounds okay. Like that kind of sounds
Right.
like it could be it. And I dove down that a little bit, and then it went to, past relationships. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it would really irritate me when past relationships wouldn't see the positive side of a situation.
Right.
So I was kind of
True.
settled on that for a while,
Yep.
and then it hit me this weekend that it was the way he talked to me that
Mm-hmm.
was, and not because he's my kid. I just don't like it when anybody talks to me
Gotcha.
in a certain way,
Me
right?
too.
And so I just had to realize, like, this, just because they are talking to me a certain way doesn't mean anything about me. That's
Right.
them.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to,
Exactly.
I don't have to pick it up. I don't have to pick up what they're putting down
Mm-hmm. No doubt
unless
about it.
unless I choose to.
Exactly.
And I mean, I don't know that I have more to say about that. Like, I don't have to pick it up.
Right. You don't. You know what I wanted to bring up too with what you were saying about Xander and, well, I can give you 5 reasons why I don't like my life or whatever, right? Well, that just makes me think it doesn't matter what age we are, whether we're
Mhm.
9 or we're in our late 30s or 50. We want to be heard. We want people
Mm.
to hear what we have to say. It doesn't matter what age. And we all have that longing to be heard, to belong, and for our mommies to love us, right?
Yeah.
And what also came my mind with what you're saying is I remember a time where my kids, let's see, it was my oldest daughter's birthday, and we are going to a pretty fancy restaurant for it. And I pushed them so hard. Let's get ready. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Get your shoes on. Da 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 da. And it is actually to this day one of my biggest regrets, because why did I push him like that? Because my parents were expecting us there, because
Mm.
my parents were all about you be there on time. I was raised like that. And when I was married before to my ex-husband, everything kind of revolved on his time. He wasn't really cognizant of anybody else's time. He just showed up when he showed up, and he's still like that. So I was just so, if my parents weren't even coming, I wouldn't even have been that way.
Mm.
But it's like, do you think as well that most of us feel that way, that sometimes somebody else is driving us to act a certain way, or we're afraid of displeasing or letting someone else down?
Oh, absolutely. I think that
Mm-hmm.
for the majority of my life, I wanted to be the perfect version of Alysia
Oh yeah.
to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to I just met you. I
Yeah.
had to figure out who you wanted me to be, who the perfect version of me was,
Oh.
and then be it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's exhausting.
Oh,
And that
100%.
comes, I know that comes from being a pastor's kid.
Mm-hmm.
There's, I read a book, I think it was called Why You Do the Things That You Do.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not confusing that with a different book, I know I read that book, but I think that's the
Yeah.
one that was how pastors' kids and
Mm-hmm.
even missionary kids are, have this feeling like I can get my dad fired if I'm not perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's heavy on a
Mm-hmm.
kid. And I never really thought much about it, but that's probably why there's two different kinds of, there's a stereotype about pastors' kids,
Mm-hmm.
the
For sure.
perfect angel, and
Yep.
then the
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably a response to that thought of I have to be perfect or my
Mm-hmm.
dad's going to be a or get fired. It's like some people are like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
other people are like, well, I'm going to walk this straight and narrow. And the reason I hated that stereotype is because I knew I wasn't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I knew all my secrets and
Right.
all the things I was ashamed of.
Mm-hmm.
But you thinking I'm perfect for a while was irritating. And then it became my mission.
Oh gosh, I know. I mean, if we think about so many people that are in our fabulous community who will admit that, but there's a lot of people that aren't, and they are trying to fit these stereotypes, or they're looking at everybody, the comparisonitis on Instagram or Facebook, like, golly, she is perfect. She looks physically perfect. She is making all this money. She's doing all these things. And probably the truth of it is she's not. Or if she is, it's taken her a heck of a long time to get there.
Yeah.
And, I know that there were times in my journey like, oh, if I could just be like her, if I could just look like her, if I could just do this or that, I'd be okay. If I could just lose the stink of 20 pounds that keeps finding me, I'd be fine. But that's not the case. The only one we can be is us. And we were created for our own purpose and passions, not for whatever he, she, or whoever is doing. We're created for our own purpose and passion.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think moms do that as much as us coaches do.
Oh, heck
The
yeah.
that's a human
Heck
condition,
yeah.
not a not a certain job field. And moms are doing it to each other. They're doing it to themselves, and then they're doing it to each other. And
Right.
look at this mom. She's organic and gluten free, and she's
Mm.
makes her own baby food, and da, 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 da.
Yep.
It's exhausting trying to keep
It
up with the
is.
Joneses.
It is. I am one of those moms who I just like, I'm going to be the one that I'm going to have my career. And I'm also going to kind of be at home too, because, I'm going to do both those roles, and I'm going to be the best cook, and we're going to go to Gymboree, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And there were so many times I'm like, what am I doing? But I had to fit this role, especially in the eyes of my mother-in-law and my mom. It is totally exhausting.
Yeah.
So I am going to ask you to give your good information again before we take a break.
Absolutely. So I'm at Mom Support Coach on all the platforms, and I'm AlysiaLyons.com, AlysiaLyons.com.
We will see you all soon. Welcome back to Transformation with Martine. By the way, everyone, I just get so caught up in this because this is so fun to me. You can find me at www.martineemmons.com, MartineEmmons.com. And I'm all about transforming your lives from trauma and tragedy and loss to living an absolute fulfilled life. So, welcome back. And I have my guest, Alysia Lyons, who is the mom support coach. And we left off the conversation talking about expectations as a mom and trying to fit into either mold that is expected of us from our parents or whatever we created for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, Alysia, what do you think about finally releasing what others want of us and just being who we are? What are the tips and tools that other moms could use to just relax and just
You-
be?
I'll tell you, the result of relaxing and just be is you're going to feel a lot happier.
Right. Right.
Just like it, if this is what it takes, stop social media stalking the moms
Mm-hmm.
that you wish you could be like.
Right.
That's a form of self-abuse, honestly.
Sure, it is.
You're
Mm-hmm.
you really are, when you're trying to be someone else, like some other mom, you're actually robbing your kids of who their mom is,
Yes.
right? The mom that
Yes.
that they chose.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that our children choose us,
I do too.
and
Mm-hmm.
that really actually kind of makes me feel good, because
Yeah.
not only did they choose us, but
Mm-hmm.
our flaws were factored into the equation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like your experience, Martine, with your parents,
Mm-hmm.
and all of your experiences in your life have led you to where you're at now.
100%.
And without those experiences, you wouldn't have been drawn to this work,
Mm-hmm.
which is your life's purpose.
Exactly.
Right. And the same
Yep.
thing with me. I think of Xander's experience. He
Mm-hmm.
was a course correction for me
Uh-huh.
more than once.
Yeah.
His
Mm-hmm.
birth changed me as a person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted the best for him. And I remember hearing, Sean Smith say that your children will grow up to find, if they're the same gender as you, they will want to be you,
Right.
and they will want to marry the person like the opposite.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that would mean that my son was going to be like his dad. Cringe.
Right.
And that he was going to marry someone like me. Uber cringe. Like,
Uh,
I did not want me for my son as a
right.
partner, who I was. And that led to my transformation, which is not
Mm-hmm.
really the answer to your question, but
Oh, it's perfect. Mm-hmm. It's all perfect.
I mean, so I started being better. And
Mm-hmm.
when I started looking at like, how do I be better?
Mm-hmm.
Leaving his dad was part of that recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it wasn't my choice at the time, and I fought to hold on to it. And I look back
Right.
at that now, and in the relationship I'm in now, and the man that, I mean, this is the man
Right.
I would be happy
Gotcha.
for my son to grow into.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so cute watching him imitate
Yeah.
him. It's so cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and the person that I am now, I I would be much more comfortable with him marrying.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching a video of him. He's 2 years old, probably. I think it was the
Aw.
first time he was at the beach.
Uh-huh.
And I shared this on my social media. I don't know if you saw it, but he's running towards the water, and it's running away from him. The water's,
Yeah.
retreating.
Yeah.
And then it starts coming at him, and he
Yeah.
turns around and runs the other direction. He does this 4 or 5 times in the video. And I just remember thinking, oh, I wish that the person I am today was with him then.
Right.
And
Right.
I wasn't wishing it in a beating myself up way, because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we can do that.
Right.
I missed so much of, I was in my head and in my trauma so much back then. I really wish that the me that I am today could have
Mm-hmm.
been back there. But the me I was supposed to be there,
Mm-hmm.
and the me I am
Exactly.
now is supposed to be here.
Exactly.
And just accepting who you are, and if there's things about you and your parenting that you don't want, that you don't like,
Mm-hmm.
you can change those things. It just takes a choice. And then
Right.
learning, there's so many books out there that could, enlighten you to what's going on in your minds.
Mm-hmm.
There's amazing coaches like Martine and
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Like you. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be more than happy to guide you back to
Mm-hmm.
who you are, who you really are. Because
Right.
all these layers of protection that we put on ourselves, they're not who we are. They're the layers of protection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because who we
Oh,
are when we're born is love,
pure.
pure love.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's the things that other people put on us, or expectations and beliefs that aren't ours that are put on us. And it takes a while to start releasing those. And a coach is the best thing to help you with that,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So this is a fun one. I actually haven't done this in a bit. What if you were to be in an elevator with a mama? She's got a sweet little guy in the elevator, kind of holding onto her leg.
Hmm.
And she's like, oh, I just don't know what to do some days. I feel like I just don't know what to do. I feel like I'm lacking. I feel like I'm letting him down. What would you say to her?
I've been there, mama. I've
Yeah.
been there
Mm-hmm.
so many times.
Yeah.
And I know I'll continue to be there, because we
Mm,
just love those children
yeah.
so much.
Above anything. Oh
Oh my
gosh.
gosh. Like, walk across coal for you. Like, just, it doesn't matter.
Bring on the
I mean,
flames. I'm with you. Mm-hmm.
think about the mom that can pick up the car off the baby, right? Like there's primal power that we have as moms.
Yes.
Right. And again, I forgot the question, but like I just got into
yeah, I kind
it.
of got into it myself. I kind of forgot it as well. Well, what you would tell a mom.
Yeah.
You know, like we only have 2 minutes left, but what you would tell a mom in even just a minute, what you would tell her.
In that minute, that I would just have compassion for yourself. Dig deep into that love that you have for that little one, and just focus on your healing. You know, there's things that we can do. Like I'm coming up with this course where, you know, we have guiding you back to peace.
Yes.
You know, there's chaos in our life. Like, let's decrease the chaos. Let's improve our relationships.
Yes.
Let's decrease this, you know, this overwhelm that we have.
Right.
And increase our peace and our joy.
Because that's what it's about. Life is about finding joy and living in our fulfillment and raising happy children. Doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen and we're not going to be there to get them through it, because they came here for a reason too, right? They have their own purpose and we can't solve everything for them. So Alysia, one more time, where they can find you before we end our beautiful show.
I am the Mom Support Coach at Mom Support Coach on all the platforms, and I'm AlysiaLyons.com, ALYSIALYONS.com.
Awesome. Alysia, thank you so much. This has been an awesome, amazing show, and we could keep talking for hours before Olivia boots us off. Thank you all for joining us at Transformation with Martine. We are every second and fourth Friday for now. August, we go weekly. Thank you again, everyone, so much. And please share. I'd be so happy if you were to share the podcast, like the podcast, and join me next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Transformation with Martine. Did listening today spark a sense of hope and possibility? Hold on to this feeling and tune in every second and fourth Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific for more inspiring conversations with Martine and her guests. They will show you there is hope, and you are right where you need to be. Martine is dedicated to supporting you right where you are while launching you towards promise, passion, and possibility that leads to the fulfilled life your heart aches for. If you're tired of being stuck, schedule a complimentary consultation with Martine and get on the exciting path towards the life you want to be living. Visit MartineEmmons.com and make your appointment today.